the show.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, me too. So we're talking all about promoting pins today. We're mapping out a strategy. Me and her, we're going to do this together. It's going to be a blast. And so before we even dive in to promoted pins and everything in between whenever it comes to getting on Pinterest and putting some money behind pins, please tell us all about what you do and who you are and how you got started.
All right, great. Well, I am a self-love mentor and a virtual assistant, and I got started as a blogger quite a few years ago. I really wanted to start a magazine for women that promoted self-love in high school. So I went and got a journalism degree, and I started a blog to kind of get myself out there.
Yeah.
And then I realized there was this whole coaching world and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's where I've been for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
When I had my daughter, I realized I really needed to turn this into a business.
Right.
So last July, we launched Shield Sisters Initiative, which is a community for women who are female entrepreneurs on their self-love journeys. And really just we focus on supporting you as you grow your business with self-love in mind.
Yeah, I love that.
Thanks.
Yeah, okay, so and you just recently launched a course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Yeah,
called?
my first course. It's called Embracing Your Inner Queen in 5, and it's a 5-module course that goes over the 5 areas of self-love, and it's self-paced, audio only with a little bit of video mixed in, but the reason I did audio is because you could download it, put it on your phone or your iPod or whatever, and even listen to it while you're driving, so trying to maximize your time as a business owner because I know how crazy it is.
Yes, I love that. And so our whole goal today is to map out a strategy so that she can start using promoted pins to lead to this amazing course, right?
Yes, and I am like Pinterest illiterate, so this will be fun.
Yes, this is going to be a blast. I'm really excited about this. So I'm going to grab my piece of paper right now. And for the podcast listeners, we're just hashing this out. So you're just going to listen to the behind the scenes of exactly how we're going to map this out together. I have my piece of paper and I'm going to draw out the whole strategy. So I'm going to split it up into phases. So the back end, we're going to have the end phase. I'm just going to put your course. Okay. So do you have a tripwire? Do you know what a tripwire is?
I do know what a tripwire is, and I don't have one for the course, but I have one set up elsewhere. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I just wanted to make sure if there was one that I included it on my map, but since there's not, so what is the freebie that you have that kind of leads into this course?
So I have a resource library.
Resource library, okay.
Yeah, which actually, now that I think about it, that's the one that has the tripwire on it, so.
Okay.
Yes, there is
Okay.
a tripwire.
Awesome. So is there what is the resource library specifically?
So the resource library is full of videos and worksheets. There's a free e-course in there, as well as just a bunch of resources toward getting you on your groove with the right mindset for self-love. There's journal prompt e-course, like I said. There's some video webinars that actually Allie from Allie Williams Co. and I did almost 2 years ago now. Like, that's where we first started with the Shield Sisters Initiative stuff. And so I included those videos because they were really, really great. They're all about, like, abolishing guilt and stuff like that. So there's a number of free trainings that we had done and the worksheets and a pitch script, which will help you if you're trying to find collaborators in your business. So it's got probably
just a bunch of things. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so is there something that maybe we might be able to promote that's free but a little bit more specific? So if you think, your course, where is your audience at before they get to the course?
So before they get to the course, they're really, they know they need to include self-love and to their lives, and they know that like self-care is a part of it, but they really don't know how to have a comprehensive plan. So when they're in a good zone, they know their self-love and they know what to do, but then when they get overwhelmed or stressed, they don't know where to fall back on. And so my course helps you to have those tools prepared so that when you do become overwhelmed, you're like, okay, I've noticed I'm overwhelmed, so I'm going to do X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a freebie that we could promote more for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually one of the pages of the workbook from the course, and it's like a pitch scripts, so things you can say to help you find your self-love community. Do you think that would be something that would work?
Yeah, I think that could, and we don't even have to have just one freebie. This could be 3 different freebies that lead into the course. Do you have ConvertKit or some kind of?
I have Active Campaign.
Active Campaign. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll write that down. Active Campaign. Cool. Okay, so there's one freebie. Is there maybe another freebie that we could promote? Let's just maybe do 2 as examples that could lead to the course. Like I'm thinking we'll definitely be pushing self-love, like that should be in the name of the freebie since that's in the name of your course, so kind of get that there's not any distinction, there's will be a distinction there, maybe.
We have another one that's like a mindset shifting worksheet, or we could do the e-course, which is self-love journal prompts called Love This Journal and Yourself.
I like the self-love journal prompts because I can see that going into the self-love course.
Yeah, and I have it, so Love This Journal and Yourself is both a 5-day free course, an email course that you get, but then at the end you have the option to purchase the ebook, but actually in the course I include the ebook.
Oh, cool.
Which has 30 journal prompts. So in addition to those 5, you have 30 more.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Perfect. Okay, so we have 2 freebies that'll lead into the course. How fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to take to the very, very first step. So we have phase 3, which is our course, phase 2, which is those 2 freebies, and now phase 1 is just going to be the content. So, have you been on any podcasts to talk about self-love? I feel like I've seen you on one, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have my own podcast.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
And then, well, actually, I have 2 podcasts, but there's one that's business-oriented, the other one's for parenting. And then I recently, like last week, was on Uncustomary. Have you heard of that podcast?
No, I haven't. But did you talk about self-love and did you lead it to your course? Perfect.
And then there's another one that I recorded a while ago, but it's coming out today, actually.
Oh, awesome.
And I can't remember. It's like...
So I'll just put that on the your episodes list. And then you have a blog. I feel like I've seen your blog, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll do like blog post. Okay. So, I'm just thinking pinning here. Okay, so we'll have about maybe 10 pins, maybe even total, pushing to this free content. So, yeah, about 10. So the first pin that we would put is the uncustomary. You could even make a more branded pin that leads to their episode. They would love that. I know a guest on my podcast has done that. They like branded my episode, but in their brand colors and pinned it. And I was like, yeah, go ahead and do that. I'll repin it. So people love that if you want to go do that. And then also the second things you can pin is every episode that you have on your podcast that leads to one of these 2 freebies. And the third thing is blog. So you can have, all those different blog posts that are like maybe 3 self-love or 3 self-love strategies that you can copy and paste in 5 seconds in your life. Or, like all those things that, because as business owners we're busy, so something that kind of appeals to time, but then also, okay, this will solve this problem that I feel like I've been having. So you could have different blog posts on that. And then you could design 3 differently designed pins for each freebie. So that's 6 pins total just for your freebies. So let's say that's 6 pins for 2 freebies. Does that make sense? Did I explain that well?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so that's 6 pins right there plus, let's say around 5 for each, like 5 different pieces of content. And then we can design 2 different pins for each piece of content. So that's 10 pins, 16 pins total. That leads to the front end of your funnel, basically. Do you feel like that's good?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so now we have 16 different pins on Pinterest. So now our next step, we have our mapped out strategy, and I don't know if you can see this here, Raewyn, but it's like crazy. So obviously
Okay,
I need to work on my design skills, but it's there. It's a map, kind of. So, okay, I feel good about this. Now that we have our mapped out strategy, we have our objective, which is obviously getting people in the course. Now we're going to create these pins. So that would be the next step, where we would you would go in and you would design these pins that are branded. And I know people typically suggest, I forget what the dimensions are. I think it's like 1200 by 600-ish or something along those lines. But I like to make them even longer. So I would say have your picture, your vertical picture, and then add a huge color block on top of it. That makes it double in length, and that always helps a lot with these pins. But I would definitely suggest doing that. So then what we would do is we would design these pins that would link to all these sources. We would pin that to your Shield Sisters Initiative board that you would have on Pinterest. So that board, I'm not sure if you have a board like that on Pinterest, but
yeah.
do you? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Because that's like all your content. So you'd put it there, and then we would we would repin those to all your other boards that it would relate to. After that, we're going to wait 7 days, and then we're going to see which pin has the highest click-through rate. And so, have you ever heard of a click-through rate?
Yeah.
For those that haven't, a click-through rate is just basically the percentage of people that see your pin and actually click through. So click-through rate on Pinterest, I would say average, about 1 to 2% is an average click-through rate on Pinterest. But you can see like some pins are like 8 to 9% click-through rate, which is crazy. It just depends. But you'll be able to see, okay, which pin has the highest clicks, which one didn't get as many clicks. Like maybe one of her pins, you may get 1 or 2 clicks, and then another one you'll get 9, and you'll say, okay, obviously there's something about this pin that is making people click through there. I don't know, I feel like it's always interesting to split test these pins, because the ones that I always think are going to do the best may not actually do the best, so I think it's always interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So do you feel good about this plan so far? What are you thinking?
I do. Yeah, I do. I'm thinking I need to actually finish my sales funnel course and finish my sales funnel that I was working on. Yeah. But other than that, I feel great.
Good. I'm so glad. So do you feel good about like the pin design itself?
So yeah, what dimensions do you usually recommend? Like how big of that block on top in that color?
That's a good question. I am actually on Illustrator right now, and for one of my clients, this is a really tall pin. She has a free 2018 calendar download, and it's like custom designed. It's crazy. But the height on it is 1,283 pixels, and then the width is 359. So it's a tall freaking pin, but it is amazing, and it has worked like gangbusters.
Okay, so 1283 by 359. So kind of skinnying it up. So keeping that 1200 length, but skinnying it up is pretty typical. Okay.
Yeah, well, and it depends on what it is. Like for my podcast episodes, I'll tell you this. My height is about 1613 pixels, and my width is 1095 pixels.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's not as tall, but I mean, it works. Pinterest says that they don't like square images, so I would stay away from square images, and obviously more of the horizontal images. You don't want that. So, but I mean, I know you already know that. Most people do. You just want to take up as much real estate on Pinterest as possible. So now I'm going to share with you my screen real quick.
Okay.
Let me know if you can see it. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Let me hop on over to Pinterest. And then I can show you my pins, and then we can start promoting a pin together. So this was for my 3-day challenge, so that I'm just gonna hit that pin here. I'm gonna be like, okay, I think this is a high click-through rate, all that awesome stuff. So once I kind of figure out, okay, what pin on that board, I'm going to go to ads over here, which you have a business Pinterest account, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. I figured you did. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
So I go to,
Allie set everything up for me when she worked at Shield Sisters Initiative.
oh,
So I'm
perfect.
very lucky because I know nothing about Pinterest, like I was saying. I have someone else. Like I have Tailwind. I can do that. I can do Tailwind.
Okay, perfect. Yes, and that's totally okay. As long as you got your pins automated, it's cool.
Yeah.
Go to ads and then go to traffic. And I just want to say real quick, always do traffic campaigns on Pinterest.
Okay.
Obviously, you can totally test this out, but for small business owners, you can get, if you're like doing awareness and engagement, you're basically paying for every time someone has a close up of your pin, repins your pin. Any type of engagement that you're seeing, that's what you're paying for. So obviously you can see that would get expensive really quick if that pin took off. And then what if you didn't get clicks to your website? Well, your whole point in this awesome poorly drawn funnel that I have here, your whole point is to get people to actually get to your funnel. So it's really important that we do a traffic campaign for things like this. Okay, so I'm going to create a campaign over here. Just hit that red button, create a campaign, and then you'll say it says get traffic to your website. So yes, that's the objective we want, since our whole objective is to get traffic to our freebie landing page or the awesome podcast episodes or blog posts that you have. And so I'm actually going to create a new traffic campaign, but I already have this campaign, but since this is a test one, I'm just going to do test challenge campaign for the name, but I suggest doing like the objective. So for you, it would be your self-love course specifically, because that would be the objective of your end of the funnel. Okay, so then you have two different options here, your daily spend cap or your lifetime spend cap. And the way I kind of like to break this down, lifetime spend cap, I always start there at like $20 or $10 or whatever the amount I want. And the reason why I do this is because I'm getting data. And so and also it's giving Pinterest data to work with as well. So you're giving Pinterest some data and you're also getting data yourself. You're like, okay, let's say you spend $20. Well, now you know the kind of people that reacted to certain keywords on Pinterest. You know the people that, okay, what kind of age group on Pinterest reacted well, because the same one that you might see on Facebook, I know you're really active in a lot of Facebook groups, which is great, but on Pinterest, you may get a different age group, and you may not know that. You may just assume, but it's always good to just get those stats back. So I say lifetime first, and then if you want to make this evergreen, which I believe your course is evergreen, it's not an open-close cart, and so if you wanted to make this evergreen a funnel, you would just do a daily spend cap and you would go, okay, I only want to spend $5 a day, or I only want to spend $10 a day. So that's what I would suggest. Let's just do $20 in this lifetime cap here. And then we're going to click on add more details. Okay, so now we have the ad group name. So this would be, let's see, which one? Let's do podcast episodes. Actually, just kidding. Let's do freebies. Freebies and then your journal prompts. So I'm just doing the, for the ad group name, I always do, okay, what is it actually leading to? Because, within this overall campaign, you're obviously leading them to different things. One ad, one pin may be leading them to a journal prompt. The other pin may be leading them to your worksheet for your self-love community. All of those different things, but they're all in the same funnel. They're all the top of the same funnel. So that's why I like the ad group name to be that specific freebie or podcast episode or content piece. Okay, so we're going to pick specific dates, and I mean this is a little obvious. You just want to say what dates. I'm just going to do the 21st, and I would say give it a good week, a week and a half. What I found with Pinterest is, with Facebook's algorithm or if you've ever run Facebook ads, Facebook algorithm, it works very quickly. I would say in 72 hours, you get pretty good results. Not pretty good results, I mean like you get actual data that is accurate. Well, with Pinterest, that is not the case. It takes a lot longer for Pinterest to get that data. So I would say give it a good week and a half to actually know that your data that you've been getting is accurate.
Okay.
Is all this making sense so far?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. I'm glad. And you can see my screen fine and everything? Okay, perfect. So we're just going to go to lifetime budget again, and I'm just going to put $20. This is for that specific ad group, so we're just going to do there. And we don't need to create an audience. Wait, actually, I'm sorry. let me see, keywords. Yeah, we're not going to create an audience for this one. This is going to be more if you're, retargeting and you're getting your pins in that area. Mm-hmm. And interest, what I found is that, like, in our realm, we're entrepreneurs and they don't have that category for us. So what we have to do is we have to go by keywords. And are you familiar with Google AdWords at all?
Not really.
Okay, so Pinterest promoted pins work very similar to Google AdWords, where, let's say that you were promoting this podcast episode on Google AdWords and you wanted everyone that went to Google and typed in the search bar self-love worksheet, they got an ad that went straight to the top of their Google search that said, download the free worksheet here. Okay, well, Pinterest works very similar. It's just image-based, obviously, because Pinterest is a search engine. A lot of people don't think of it like that, but I just wanted to mention that. So, keywords. What kind of keywords do you think people would type in here?
Journal.
Okay, maybe self-love journal.
Yeah.
Journaling prompts.
Self-care.
Self-care.
Like, how many do you think we should do?
So I'm just going to put that. That's really good start. And so now I'm going to look at this, and then it gives me related keywords. So cool. Journal prompts, journaling prompts, there we go, self-care, me time. And so you can kind of see that you can just click these that all apply.
Okay.
From there, and we don't really need prayer journal or art journal. We have to be kind of specific on that. But the good part is that the pin itself, you want to design it in a certain way that where it attracts the specific users that you want to actually click on it. And so, you want to make sure it says self-love on it. It doesn't just say journal. Otherwise, you may get some people that click on the pin, but they're not actually business owners or they're not entrepreneurs or they don't really care about self-love. They just wanted some really cool art journal to have. You obviously want to make sure to filter those leads that are coming in from Pinterest. So the design of your pin is one way to effectively do that. Okay, I'm looking at the keywords. I feel like obviously we want 20 to 30 keywords. So we just have 6 in here right now. I would say do some keyword research. From here, make sure you have 20 to 30 keywords. And we're just going to keep moving down. So locations, pick specific locations. You could do all U.S. locations. I always like to do like Australia. I find that for me personally, and this is obviously going to be different for every brand, but for me personally, I do really well in Australia. And
I do
the US. Too. Yeah. So I always make sure to include Australia. I love my Australian peeps. They're amazing. Okay, languages. I always just do English and then devices. You don't have to worry about this for you specifically, but I do want to mention, like for me, for instance, I was promoting my podcast on iTunes specifically. So obviously it has to be on an iPad or an iPhone. And so what I did is I only promoted this pin to people that were on Pinterest with their iPhone or iPad. So anyways, the devices for this specifically, pin does not matter at all, but something to keep in mind that and the option is there. And then pick specific genders. I would say it's going to be cheaper to go female for you because you know that females typically react better to your content. And then your maximum CPC bid. The strong bid on Pinterest, you don't want to go that, you can go that route if you would like, but I would say go medium. So I would say start at $1.50 where it says good bid. That's where we want. We want a good bid. And then we're going to get back data. And, for instance, one of my, you can hear my dog, sorry. One of my clients is a fashion blogger, and she and I do promoted pins for her. And so for her, we have $1 for the max CPC, but sometimes she's getting like 16 cents cost per click. And so just because you bid this doesn't mean you're actually going to pay this, but it is something to keep in mind. And always look at these numbers. Come back at least every 72 hours, look at the number, and make sure that your cost per click is not as high as you think that it should be. And for you, for instance, you can just DM me and we can go over it together. But
okay.
Okay, and then pick a pin. So now we're to the pick the pin stage. And, I love this option on Pinterest because it says 30-day most clicked. And so you can just go over here and do, like, the most clicked pins. which for me, like, it's the free trial, the landing pages, and free month of ConvertKit and all that awesome stuff. But let's see, the challenge. So this one is the most clicked for my challenge. So I'm just going to click that one to promote, and then free productivity challenge here, and then you can make sure the destination URL is good. I'm just going to retype that in there because that's the URL. And then you click promote pin, and then that's it. Like that, then you're done.
Okay, cool.
So how do you feel about that process?
I feel really good. I think that is going to be awesome. Yeah, that doesn't look as hard as I thought it would be.
Good. Yeah, it really isn't. Once you get in the back end of Pinterest, it's really not that hard. I think the main thing is making sure that you've done your research beforehand, you've mapped out your strategy, and that you're checking those numbers. That way your cost per click doesn't get higher than it should. Because for Pinterest, you have such a good opportunity to have a super low cost per click. But it can easily get, not out of hand, but get higher than maybe you could have gotten it. I feel like Pinterest... If you're like a thrift shopper, I feel like Pinterest is that thrift shop for ads. Yeah, that's how I feel about Pinterest.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so that's it. We have your content that's going to lead to your freebies, that's going to lead to your course. That's your basic sales funnel. It's a pretty basic one, but that's there. And you know how to split test promoted, or you know how to split test the pins that you add to your board, and then how to promote them.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it, and now I have a lot of work to do.
Yes, but it's fun work.
Yeah, and if we didn't do this, and if you didn't have this podcast episode we're making, I think a lot of people would end up how I was going to do, which was going to be just a pin that led specifically straight to the course, right. And it probably wouldn't have converted. Right.
Yeah, because you have to warm up your people before you ask them to buy. It's so important. And, I just, even like for my $27 course, it's just $27, right? But I still gave so much free value before I even asked people to buy a $27 program, which, that's probably a little insane to some, but it converted really, really well because I did warm up my audience to the idea and all that stuff. And, anyway, so I definitely think that's important. But I do see that a lot, a pins that lead straight to a program. I'm like, I know nothing about you. I'm not going to pull out my wallet if I don't know you. So
yeah, and we know all about doing the sales funnels and the nurture sequences, but then we don't think to connect it to Pinterest. Or when we launch a new course, we're like, okay, well, I'll just launch it. Like, that's what I'm just doing. Like, we don't always have all of the strategy behind it.
Right. Well, perfect. Thank you so much for letting this be a podcast episode. And I'm excited that we got to chat strategy.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.